Good afternoon and welcome to the subcommittee meeting for technical assistance of the Governor's Interagency Advisory Council on Homelessness to Housing. This meeting has been publicly noticed in compliance with the Nevada's open meeting law. Chairwoman Michelle Fuller Hellauer will call the meeting to order.
Good afternoon. On this, I was going to say sunny day, but it's not quite sunny. On this bright March 18th, 2025 day, it is 1:04, and I'd like to call the meeting of the Nevada Interagency Advisory Council on Homelessness to Housing Subcommittee for the Technical Assistance to order. Carlia, would you please take roll?
Chairwoman Michelle Fuller Hellauer.
Present.
Vice Chair Brooke Page.
Present.
Austin Pollard.
Present.
Dr. Pamela Janelle.
Present.
Chris Murphy. Christy Costa. Kimberly Martin. Adrienne Babbitt.
Present.
And Julie King. Okay, Madam Chairwoman, we do have quorum.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending. We will move on to agenda item number 2, which is our first of 2 public comments for this meeting. No action may be taken upon a matter raised until the matter has been publicly added to the agenda. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. If you're making a public comment via phone, please call 1-775-321-6111. The ID number is 489-058 294#. We're now open for public comment. Please unmute yourself and state your name for the council. Dr. Janelle.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, Dr. Pam Janelle, for the record. And I may need some assistance if whether or not I'm permitted to do this. But as public comment, currently NDE is getting a McKinney-Vento and foster care website built, and they sent a little survey asking to vote on some names. Would I be able to share that at this point or no? Because I know it says there can't be like some actionable items unless it was included on the agenda. So I'm asking for guidance on that and how I could possibly share the possibility to be able to vote on the website name. Thank you.
Dr. Janelle, this is Ryan. What exactly are you wanting to share?
It's a link to like a form to vote on the name of the McKinney-Vento foster care website that we are currently having built for the state of Nevada.
Oh, if nobody can foresee that ever winding up on an agenda here, then it's fine. I mean, does it have anything to do with the business being done by the subcommittee?
Not necessarily. So this would be just an individual's choice based on some, so they picked top 3 out of I think 10 selections or something. I've already sent it out to all my other networks, but I wanted to just share it here so people had the opportunity to, weigh in, because this website will be available for the state to access. And it is voluntary, not, Yeah,
go ahead.
Okay. I would love to get any feedback from the rest of the group. I just want to make sure I'm in the correct order in doing business with regards to public comments.
If you're soliciting feedback from members of the committee, you should probably agendize it then.
Oh, okay. This would be considered soliciting feedback. Okay. Well, thank you very much for your information with that. All right, I will not take up any more time.
What you could do, Dr. Janelle, is you could show us what you're asking and how to access the link for the survey. And then folks could access the survey on their own time and not give feedback during the meeting. Then you're not soliciting feedback during the meeting. And I believe that that would not be in out of order. But I think because you're just giving information on how people can access that. But I think that if you're asking for feedback during public comment, I think that is where you are out of compliance. Is that correct, Ryan?
Yes, correct.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, for that clarification as well, Ryan, Dr. Janelle, for the record. And I did send an email, and I believe people within the network may have it, and I requested to share widely. So I believe I've accomplished that. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay. Katrina.
Good afternoon, Katrina Peters for the record, Washoe County Human Services Coordinator. Just wanted to offer Dr. Janelle, if it's appropriate, would love to have the link, and we'd be happy to send it out to our COC members if that's not too broad, because a lot of folks do kind of serve families experiencing homelessness, transition age youth. Okay, great. Thanks.
Dr. Janelle, for the record, would I be able to provide that in the chat here or just send an email?
You can either just send an email or you can provide the information right now publicly. So we cannot use the chat. But you could verbally or share it on screen to share it publicly for everybody that is tuned in.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairwoman. I will figure that out. Thank you.
Any other public comment? We do have public comment at the end of the meeting. So Dr. Janelle, if you wanted to share that at the end of the meeting, you're more than welcome to circle back and do that as well.
Dr. Janelle, for the record, thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I will do so.
Last call for public comment. Okay. I'm not seeing any more. Carlia, do we have anybody that has sent in any public comment, or do you see anybody on the phone?
No.
Okay. With that, we will close agenda item number 2, and we will move on to agenda item number 3, which is discussion and possible approval of the minutes for February 18th, 2025. I believe that the minutes were included in the appointment notice that was sent out publicly and to all of your calendars. So I'm open for discussion. If there's no discussion, then I will entertain a motion for approval.
This is Adrienne Babbitt. I move to approve the minutes from last meeting.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
Rick Page, I second.
We have a motion and a second. I'll open it up for a vote. All those in favor, please unmute yourself and indicate by verbally saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, please unmute yourself and indicate by saying nay. Any abstentions? I will abstain since I was not at the last meeting. Any other abstentions? Motion carries. End of agenda item number 3. We will move on to agenda item number 4. Discussion and possible removal of subcommittee members of Kimberly Martin and Christy Costa. As we've discussed in previous meetings, there is a requirement to be on this subcommittee for membership attendance of at least 75% of meetings or more. And I believe Kimberly Martin, if somebody will need to correct me here if I'm wrong, Kimberly Martin has not met that criteria. And Christy has submitted her resignation. Is that correct?
We have not heard from either one.
We have not heard from either one. So both of them have not met their 75%. Is that correct?
Correct.
Correct. Okay. I stand corrected on that. Adrian.
Hi, Adrian Babbitt. Last meeting, we discussed that proper notification had not previously been sent to these individuals, and that was going to be corrected to let them know that at this meeting, we would be discussing and voting on their removal. Just wanted to make sure that that notification did go out appropriately.
Yes, emails were sent to both Christy and Kimberly. We sent those emails on February 20th with the proper verbiage. Would you like for me to read the email that I sent on, or Abigail sent on February 20th?
Sure.
Or
I don't know. I think Ryan last time had dictated the appropriate verbiage to be sent. So as long as that was followed, then I think that that we should be good.
yes, everything that Ryan mentioned in the last meeting was included on this email.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
And then Carlia, just to verify, you indicated that we did not hear back from either one?
Correct.
Madam Chairwoman, will you entertain a motion?
Yes, I will.
This is Adrian Babbitt. I move to remove subcommittee membership for Kimberly Martin and Christy Costa. Can they be in the same motion, or do we need to do them separate?
No, you can do them on the same. This is Ryan.
Okay.
You can do them on the same motion. Just, I just want to be clear here for open meeting law purposes. Are you removing these people and therefore reducing the size of the subcommittee by 2 chairs, or are you removing these people and you have 2 vacant seats?
This is Adrian. It was my understanding that we would have vacant seats then to fill.
Okay.
But if
Yep,
that is
yeah,
not.
as long as I know the number.
Okay.
So
Okay.
when you have a meeting, I know what constitutes quorum. That's all.
So this is Adrian then. So if we have vacant seats, does that mean that we need quorum of the membership in total, or we need quorum of the?
Yep.
Okay.
If you have, for instance, you have to have a majority of the people there, right? So, Carly, how many seats do you have right now?
9. Well, for after we vote off Kimberly and Christy, it'll be a total of 6 vacant seats.
Well, how many total seats
no.
do you have?
Right now, 9.
There's 9 people on the subcommittee?
Yes.
Okay. So then
Well,
quorum.
If this is Michelle Fuller-Hellauer, but the council, the subcommittee itself is a 15-member subcommittee though, isn't it, Carlia?
Yes.
And I think that's the question Ryan is asking.
And right now there's 9. Sorry.
Carly, do you know? So is it 15 or is it 9? Because if it's 15, we don't even have quorum today.
As of right now, the members, there's 9 individuals on the subcommittee that are active members on the subcommittee, 9 people.
Including Kimberly Martin and Christy Costa.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, then, Madam Chair, where are you getting the 15 number from?
We have vacant seats.
Six of them?
After they all vote off Christy Costa and Kimberly Martin, yes, that they can fill.
Okay, if there's 15 members on this subcommittee, then you would need 8 people to constitute quorum to do any business.
So I think this is Adrian. So we have a challenge though, because it would be impossible to get quorum with the current active members who are not participating. So I think we were achieving quorum by majority of active members without considering the number of vacancies.
When was the last action that the subcommittee took to establish a number of people on the subcommittee?
I believe it was Michelle Fuller-Hellauer, for the record. I believe it was a year ago.
And you established it at 15?
I believe that is correct.
Yeah, until that's changed, I don't think you can do any more business unless you get 8 in there.
We don't have 8 active members.
Then you need to. How many do you have?
Well, Christy Costa and Kimberly Martin are not responding and haven't been to any meetings, so we only have 7 people that even attend.
Okay. So here's what I think the subcommittee needs to do. You can, yes. Well, let me ask you this, Carly, where are you getting the 9 number from?
The 9 number is the total active members right now on the subcommittee.
So you don't even have names for these other 6 spots?
No,
Those are.
it's vacant.
Okay. Here's what you should do. You can go forward and you can remove these 2 members today, but you need to have an action, at least on your next agenda, establishing for the record the number of people on this subcommittee. Because if the official number is 15, then you shouldn't be conducting any business whatsoever.
So, okay. So we've been actively trying, over the last few months, we've been actively trying to review applications to bring new people on to fill those vacancies, while identifying who is not attending or active members, so that we can fill these seats with people that are going to be active. So that we can meet quorum on a regular basis.
Well, do you ever foresee yourselves being able to, to fill seats to get you up to 15?
Dr. Janelle, for the record, with a question that kind of like writes into this discussion. I do know in one of our previous meetings, we did review at least 2 applicants. And I don't know what the status is of whether or not we accepted those members or not. Because I do know that at least one of the members or one of those people who were requesting membership may be on this meeting right now because they were sent information to join. So I'm just curious, like, what the status of that is, and then maybe this will help us get to where we may need to be. Please advise. Thank you.
Brooke, for the record, as chair of the last meeting, I think the intent was that we decision the existing members first, that we had to kind of address this activity related to removal before we added an agenda item to add additional members. Because we
Dr.
initially had
Janelle.
it on the agenda, but we were advised otherwise.
Dr. Janelle, for the record, thank you for that clarification. That really helps.
This is Ryan. Move forward with your agenda today. Then on the next agenda, there needs to be an agenda item establishing the size of this subcommittee so that the public knows how many members you have and therefore how many members you need to make quorum.
Okay.
This is Adrienne, continuing my motion for removal of subcommittee membership, Kimberly Martin and Christy Costa.
This is Brooke Page for the record. I second that motion.
Okay, I have a motion on the table and a second. Any other, all those in favor, please unmute yourself and indicate by stating aye.
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 Any opposed, please unmute yourself and indicate by saying nay. Motion carries. Okay, moving on to agenda item number 5, discussion and possible action regarding alternative ways of formatting, or I'm sorry, discussion and possible action regarding the alternative ways of formatting or presenting the action plan.
All right. Brooke Page for the record. We have a draft of the recommendations that were made at our last meeting. So I'm just going to share my screen to kind of show what the current format looks like for feedback and review. You all requested a summary version of the various different strategic issues and the priorities. And so we've got we've started this summary page that outlines housing, the key objectives for each goal, and a summary of those goals and the actions that need to be made and the status. And so based off of, the work of this work group, kind of needing to update where we are and the status of those things. And we have a key here where it's in progress versus completed or nearly completed. And so this will be sort of a summary that links to the various different strategic issues. So the first one here, this is housing. And so ideally, this tab here that has all of the housing priorities has the more expansive version of the template that you all suggested. And so we've been discussing kind of like the top 3 priorities that we wanted to advance. And so ideally, when we make that decision, we would sort of have a bird's eye view of what those top priorities are here. If, within the housing strategic issue, and then you've got the details per goal. So goal 1, the objective of goal 1, the activities related to goal 1, and the expanded role of who's leading this activity, who's collaborating, what's the time frame to get those activities complete, what are the performance indicators, any comments, and then this status, if the status is updated here, ideally it'll also update here in the summary report. So all of these are linked to the summary. And so this lists all of the goals for housing that's been discussed, and then homeless prevention, and so on and so forth. We got wraparound service. All 8 of our strategic issues have a tab with all of the various different goals or activities that we've discussed so far. We've expanded our one spreadsheet and kind of created this workbook. So yeah, so I think that this summarizes and achieves what I believe we were hoping to with the examples we brought forward. So would love any thoughts or questions or feedback.
Brooke, this is Adrienne. This is amazing. Thank you so much for taking the lead on putting all of this together. Really appreciate this, and I look forward to, filling in some blanks here with all of the work that's going to happen. Can you go back to the summary page? I wanted to look at that one again. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And this one's not complete. We're still adding in the various different strategic issues. So right now housing is here,
Okay.
but it'll summarize all and link to all 8 on this one summary page.
Dr. Janelle, for the record, this is like so fabulous and it's hitting me so beautifully in my spirit. And I really love this because this really helps us keep track of things on the internal side, as well as it ties beautifully to our survey and those results. And so I'm really glad to see how each of the elements that we've been able to produce, how they're linked together and how the work is evolving. So thank you so much for your efforts on this, because it makes my little help to the little survey look pitiful, because I can't make something this pretty, but this is very pretty, and I look forward to working with it too, and with hopes that the group does approve this. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Janelle.
Michelle Fuller-Hallauer, for the record, ditto to what's already been said. This is absolutely beautiful. This is amazing. Yeah,
Michelle.
I think this is much more organized and going to be a lot easier for us to navigate and for us to keep track of where we are and how we're progressing through the plan. So thank you so much for all of your hard work.
Thank you. Shout out to the CSH Southwest team. So
Any feedback, any comments, suggestions, ideas from the team? Katrina.
Am I allowed to speak, or do I need to wait for public comment? I'm sorry, I don't want to break the rules.
This is open for discussion, so
Okay.
I'm going to say let's go ahead and let's open it up and let you have your input.
Okay,
Wait a
awesome.
second. Has there been action on an agenda admitting Katrina to the subcommittee?
I don't think
No.
so.
Then no.
Okay. Sorry.
Sorry, Katrina.
any other thoughts or feedback on the template? Dr. Janelle.
Dr. Janelle, for the record, when can we begin to utilize this amazing instrument?
So this agenda item is for possible action, Chair. So I don't know if we want to make a motion to adopt this and we can get it over to Carlea and the team to distribute and start. And then how we use it, I think, is another question moving forward.
Okay. So Any other thoughts, ideas, or are we ready to entertain an action to adopt this? Dr. Janelle, if you're talking, we can't hear you.
Dr. Janelle, for the record, I would like to just silence myself so I could hear the voice of the other committee members and their perspectives. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
This is Adrienne. I was feeling confident about supporting action regarding adopting this until one of our non-members wanted to make public comment on it, and now I want to know what the feedback is.
Dr. Janelle, for the record, I actually second that, Adrienne.
So here's a question. If we decide that we want to formally adopt this, we can make changes and edits later, right? We can continue to let it be a living document and evolve as we do.
Agreed. I think it, Brooke, for the record, I think that should be a requirement, that this is a living, actionable action plan.
Michelle Fuller-Hellauer, for the record, I would agree. Action plans should be living, breathing documents.
Excellent. Well, in that case, I, Adrienne Babbitt, move to adopt this format for our action plan as a way of presenting and tracking action.
Dr. Janelle, for the record, I second the motion.
Okay. All those in favor, unmute yourself and indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Please unmute yourself and indicate by saying nay. Motion carries. We will, I sounded like we need to have an agenda item on our next agenda for how to implement or how to utilize the action plan. So if we can just kind of make note of that. And then we will go ahead and closed out agenda item 5 and move on to agenda item 6. Let's receive an update on the poll survey regarding the top 3 action items from our COCs, providers, and the individuals with lived experience of homelessness. Who has our poll results? While we're getting ready for that, I just want to say a huge shout out, thank you to the Carlia's team and Abigail and Dr. Janelle and everybody who worked on the survey to get it out to the community. Thank you to our COC leads and our community partners for distributing the survey. And thank you to anybody who responded to the survey so that we could get feedback and make good, informed decisions as we move forward with the direction that we've been given from the ICHH. So with that, who is giving us our kind of our feedback or our results of our survey?
So we received 61 responses from the public. And of those 61 responses, we had the top 3 strategic issues that were voted on, which was, give me 1 second. Dustin, can you pull up the other survey, please? Yes. So the top 3 strategic issues that were voted on was housing, homeless prevention and intervention, and wraparound services. And that's the survey that you all received from us and voted on, the top 3 action items.
So just to, Michelle Fuller-Hallower for the record. So just for clarification, so that I make sure I understand the process that we went through. The survey went out with all of our top 3 action steps for each of the 8 strategic issues. We asked folks to weigh in on what they felt the top issues were. The 3 top strategic issues that came back were housing, homeless prevention and intervention, and WRAP services. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And then you sent out a follow-up survey to us with the housing, homeless prevention, and intervention that also included the 3 action steps for each of those 3, for us to weigh in on which of those we felt were most important. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure I understood what our methodology was as we move forward.
Dr. Janelle, for the record, I did want to add, and I will say this was a lot of fun working with the team. So just kudos to everyone across the board. The beauty of the initial survey was that everyone got a chance to look at all 8 of the strategic issues, and then they were broken down. That way we were able to get 2 sets of answers within that one survey, like actually sorting the 8 strategic issues as they were named, and then those action steps underneath each of them. So kudos to the team for that, because we were able to get all of that done in a shorter amount of time and reduce the survey items from 27 to just 11.
Thank you for that, Dr. Janelle. In the survey, were we able to, did folks identify the actual action steps themselves, like the top 3 action steps that they felt were most important as well? Or just the strategic issues?
So they voted on their top strategic issue and then the action steps within each strategic issue.
Okay. So do we have the results of those?
Yes. On my screen. So this is what the committee had voted on. So for housing, the top one was identify permanent funding sources. For homeless prevention and intervention, prevention funds more accurately targeted for division and problem solving was voted as the top one for this strategic issue. And lastly, for wraparound services, engaging stakeholders to establish partnerships to leverage existing resources was voted as the top one for that strategic issue.
Okay. Do we have the results of what the community identified as the top 3 action steps?
So we don't have the top 3 because it's hard. Everyone voted. From my understanding, it was too broad of it. It was not narrowed down to the top 3. So instead, we just took this top 3 strategic issues, and from there, the committee was supposed to vote on the top 3 action items within those strategic issues. So that's where the
Adrian?
follow-up survey came from.
Michelle, can you share the top issues from the Nevada Partnership for Homeless Youth Conference? Because we did drill down on specific action steps for that population. I'm curious as to how it aligns with these results.
Let me get there.
Dr. Janelle, for the record, Adrian, thank you for bringing that up. And while we are discussing said results and looking at alignment across different agencies and partnerships. The Youth Experiencing Homelessness study is also about to wrap up. And at the McKinney-Vento Foster Care Summit that we held last month, they shared some of that data and information as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing how all of this information aligns and how it ties back to the action plan that we have. This is really, really good work. So thank you all for your time and literally coalescing around how we determine priorities.
I'm having a hard time finding that.
Dr. Janelle, for the record, was this information presented at the most recent NPHY summit in November, or was this from the year before where they had some data? I'm just curious because I do know each year NPHY does provide data like in a strand when they do present their work at the summit. I'm just asking simply because maybe we might be able to find it in an archive. And we do know that the students or the young people in question are older versus like a full, span. So it may be very specific to specific age groups. Thank you so much.
Michelle Fuller-Hellauer for the record. Dr. Janelle, we collected the information from the most recent NPHY summit. And we presented it at a meeting in, I want to say December.
Maybe. This is Adrienne. I found a screenshot of the issues that I took in November that was a result of the poll. I think it's different from the presentation that you shared, but I'm showing identify permanent funding sources was top action step, followed by integrate lived experience, followed by prioritize developments with deeply affordable units.
That sounds about right.
Dr. Janelle, for the record, thank you very much for sharing that. Look at that. Wow. Hashtag fabulous. Okay.
Michelle Fuller-Hellauer for the record. Adrienne, did you want to follow up on your thought process on pulling that up?
Well, I think maybe I would like to know for the possible action, were we meant to vote on what we were sending to the council as our number one item? Or were we voting on what this body intends to prioritize as far as action steps? or a third that I don't know.
Brooke, for the record, I believe agenda item number 7 provides us with the opportunity to identify what we're moving to the ICHH. This particular agenda item for information only, I think, is just to present the survey data, and then we use that information to make a decision on the next item.
Okay, I have no further discussion. Thank you.
Anything else on this agenda item? Okay, seeing none. No other questions about the data?
Brooke, for the record, I guess my question that I'm thinking about is, do we have enough information to make a decision? Is the information that the committee just ranked coupled with the survey data from the community, are those consistent, and is that what we are hoping to have in order to make a decision?
Adrian.
Hi, this is Adrienne. My feelings on that are that this process has already been very long with a lot of engagement or attempted engagement with the community. And I feel like if, we use the community partnerships and collaboration to build the action plan, we've presented it multiple times, we've emailed out surveys and polls. I feel like further delay to continue to try to solicit input is not to the benefit of our work or actually seeing action come out of our action plan. So I would move to continue to try to engage the community in this work, but that we move forward with the information that we currently have.
Dr. Janelle, for the record, to your question, Brooke, and this discussion, one of the things that I did learn as we were helping to build the survey and putting those demographic questions in there too was to establish like one who was answering these questions from the north, south, et cetera, because I knew that time was of the issue and the legislative session had already begun. I do agree with Adrian's assessment in that the first time we looked at the survey and we found that we only had 21 responses, we sent it out yet again. With my experience being a researcher, like working on my doctorate, I had like a low response rate, but I did have at least enough, data to determine significance or insignificance of the data I did collect. Since we are in a position where we would like to provide, input to the greater council and other, agencies and partnerships, I think moving forward at this point with the information we have would be actually it would be very productive to do so.
Thank y'all. I was just put it out there on the record so we can just make sure it's agendized. Appreciate y'all.
Any other comments? I'm still curious, Michelle Fuller Hollauer for the record, I'm still curious as far as the having seen the data that came in from the surveys themselves. I'm still curious as to how the general community responded to the actual action steps and what action steps were identified by those 61 people or whoever it was, and which action steps they called out.
Dr. Janelle, for the record, I think when we look at the individual responses, they're here. And so, so where it says check individual results, and then, or you hit that more details tab, I think it breaks it down even more. So that would take, because then we would have to look at literally 61 individual records of that, which, there it is right there. So it just, it depends on when you go into the survey on the back end, you can look at those results. This is just kind of like the highlight reel for all of us. But no, that's an excellent question. And that's one of the things I do appreciate about this platform, that we were able to look at more details that way.
Okay, Michelle Fuller Hollauer for the record. So just to clarify, it helps us rank the strategic issues, but it doesn't necessarily give us any indication overall for the actual action steps, like pulling them out and saying, of all these action steps, these are the ones that kind of came. This is how people tended to vote.
Yeah, Brooke, for the record, I think that was the rationale for putting out the final survey to the committee, to drill down to that granular detail about which of the action steps we wanted to prioritize within these top 3 strategic issues that the community raised.
Dr. Janelle, for the record, that is correct.
Michelle Fuller Hollauer, yes, I understand that. I'm just curious as far as what people across the state generally weighed in on.
Dr. Janelle, for the record, I think like when we hover over and look at like more details, it should break that down even more, but I could be, so yeah. It gives us, so there's some people who are like anonymous, and then some are tagged as, I believe, COC members and things like that. I think. I haven't been able to look at any of the information from the back end because I think I was a participant. So I have to see if I can look at it some more and see if we can tease out more data on it. But the upside is that knowing that we have those percentages, though, from the top, we can definitely see like where, the responses came from. But as far as like who like did what, we would lose anonymity, and then we would lose the anonymous aspect of it, unless people chose to self-identify. Dr. Janelle, for the record, the upside of all of this, knowing that when we looked at, or when we heard about NPHY and their information, knowing that I believe 2 out of, the 3 were in alignment based on the different audience that took that one survey at that time versus this survey earlier this year. once we get additional like survey results from other instruments that have been deployed, we would also be able to coalesce around this. But I think that this is a really good start as our work continues to evolve. And then the beauty of it is too, is that not only did they rank the top 3, they actually ranked the top 3 action steps within all of the strategic issues. So then that gives us longitudinal, impact. So as we continue to move forward and things evolve, especially around what legislation is passed, we still have this information. The upside is too, is that we could actually redistribute this at any given time to also see how priorities may change over time. And that is actually a very good thing because it creates a longitudinal record.
Michelle Fuller-Hallauer for the record. Yes, thank you for pointing that out, Dr. Janelle. You're absolutely right, and I appreciate that. That helps a lot. That we do have within each of these the prioritization, and I think that as we're working with the action plan that Brooke just shared with us, that maybe we can go back to this and maybe try to sort within the action plan, maybe some priorities for us to work on outside of what we're moving forward to the ICHH, but for us to work on prioritizing for us and for our COC partners, because we know what folks have weighed in on. So I think that's the link I was looking for. So thank you for that. Adrian.
Go ahead, please, Adrian.
Oh, sorry, Dr.
I'm
Janelle.
sorry. It's 2:00 and I have to go. So if there's going to be a movement and a vote, I'm happy to vote before I leave. But otherwise, I apologize. I have to drop.
Okay. Yes, thank you, Adrian. Dr. Janelle, did you have anything before we take this to the vote?
Dr. Janelle, for the record, no, and thank you very much for allowing this discussion. I would love if we do be sure that we can move forward on anything so that Adrian may be able to assist us with any votes we have moving forward. Thank you.
Okay. So I think we were still on the looking at the poll. So I'll close agenda item 6 and open agenda item 7 for discussion and possible action to identify top 3 action items for the ICHH to consider prioritizing moving forward. So that's the voting item.
Dr. Janelle, for the record, I move that we utilize the data results that were found in these survey results as the priorities that we could move forward with for the ICHH.
This is Adrian. I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that before we move it to open vote? Okay. All those in favor, please open your mics and indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Open your mic and indicate by saying nay. Motion carries. Okay. We will move to agenda item number 8. This discussion of agenda items for the next meeting on April 15th, 2025. Carlia, I think we have some items that are already identified for the next agenda.
Yes, we do.
Could you please remind us what those are?
So first we have establishing the size of the subcommittee. And then another agenda item that I noted is how to utilize the action plan.
Okay. Other items for the next agenda? Do we have applications that we can review and vote people into vacant seats?
Yes, we do. We have two.
Has there been anybody else that has applied through the portal since we
Yes.
last looked at the portal?
Yes, there were. We could reach out to them.
Okay. Was there a discussion at the last meeting? I'm sorry, I wasn't at the last meeting. Was there a discussion at the last meeting to vote folks in at the April meeting?
Brooke, for the record, I think that based off of today's meeting, we can agendize to vote in any candidates that we've already scored and ranked. I would also like to maybe propose that we move forward with scoring and ranking the candidates that have also applied. So if there's a process that we need to start now to move that process along.
Okay. So if we can get that agendized and moving forward. Anything else that needs to be on the agenda for next month?
Do we need a status update regarding the ICHH meeting feedback to kind of close the loop if we're going to be now advancing priorities to that group? Is there need to be an agenda item that maybe for information of just getting an update as to what was discussed or the process of how our work is interfacing with the ICHH work?
That's a great question. When is the next ICHH meeting?
May 22nd.
And when do Brooke and I have another meeting with the co-chairs of the ICHH?
Nothing scheduled right now due to legislative session.
So since we won't have a meeting before the April meeting, I don't know that that makes sense to be on the April agenda.
Makes sense. Thank you.
But thank you for bringing that up, Brooke. And I think that we probably should pin that maybe for the May agenda, May or June. Any other items? Anything that we need to do with the action plan? Should we take a look at the action plan and do some work around the action plan? Should we agendize that for our next meeting? Identify what our next steps are with the action plan?
Dr. Janelle, for the record, I think we should put an agenda item in place to discuss the uses and definitely maximize the use of the action plan.
Okay.
And this could include and or not be limited to, presentations, presenting at summits, different things like that, because of the work that we're doing. And then also as maybe an extension of how we interpret what's happening in the legislative session. So it would be great to have where we could actually list different uses for the action plan and its utility as a whole.
So maybe that agenda, Michelle Fuller-Hellauer for the record, so maybe that agenda item around that action plan is a broader agenda item where we can actually have some robust discussion about the action plan, what it is, how it's utilized, how it's completed, where it lives, all of those things. Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
Dr. Janelle, for the record, yes, the logistical, determining the purpose moving forward, and then also the logistical side that the technical assistance committee would, how we would use it, and then how we would take what we use it for, and how we would maybe present some of the resulting products
Great.
or deliverables and or tangibles.
Great. Okay. Did you get that, Carlia?
Yes.
All right. Anything else for the agenda for next time? Okay, hearing none. If anybody does have anything else that comes up, let us know. Send an email to the Homeless to Housing team. Send an email to myself, Brooke. We'll make sure it gets to the Homeless to Housing team so we can review and determine if it makes sense for it to be on the next agenda. So with that, I'll go ahead and close this agenda item, and we will go to our last public comment for this meeting. Agenda number 9. No action may be taken upon this matter until it's raised specifically and added to, until the matter is specifically added to the agenda. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. If you're making public comment via phone, please call 1775-321-6111. The ID number is 489-058-294#. We're now open for public comment, so please unmute yourself and state your name for the council.
This is Dr. Janelle for the record. I wanted to reserve the public comment to share a visual of the McKinney-Vento foster care website choices with regards to requests for, if you all wanted to participate in voting on it, like not, or providing feedback offline, not as committee members. Here is, so the screen that you see here is just a small form that the web designers that we contracted with, they came up with some names and their domain names. And so it just says, please select your top 3 choices for the new McKinney-Vento foster care website. And so there's like quite a few names here. And so I can actually share the link outside of this committee meeting. And then just so you know, that is a typo, like unless you're saying it Nevada. Don't do that to the natives. But it is supposed to say Nevada. And of course, there's a submit button, and it will limit you to 3 choices. I wanted to also let you all know that we are getting the statewide homeless app built. So whichever name we choose for the website, these names may possibly be carried over in the competition for naming the statewide homeless app. So I just wanted to share that very quickly. Thank you very much for your time.
That's exciting. And if Dr. Janelle, if you would make sure that the Homeless to Housing team has that link when we can ask them to, and maybe the language for the survey, we can ask them to send that out to the full distribution list as well.
I would be happy to do that. Do I send that to Carlia?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I will do that.
So that would be great. And that's exciting. I do have a question, Dr. Janelle, during public comment regarding the McKinney-Vento and how it's affecting the how they're being impacted by the federal the stuff that's happening federally. How is that being? How is the state McKinney-Vento being impacted? Or you may not even know at this point.
This is Dr. Janelle for the record. What I do know is from my professional scope as the McKinney-Vento State Coordinator, a no is not a no until it is in writing. So therefore, I'm going forward with business as usual. I am, and unfortunately, I've been kind of placed in a position to treat this like a chess game. And some of the updates that I can provide without running into time is all of the ARP HCY money that we were able to get under contract by September 30th of 2024. We were just approved for a late liquidation through March of 2026. Yay. So that's like another birthday present for me because my birthday is at the end of this month. The upside to that is why we're able to move forward because the statewide homeless app is now being funded out of our Office of Early Learning and Development, which that is under their PDG-5 block grant. So that actually expands access and resources from birth and all the way to post-secondary. So because our agency level offices are working together, it gave a bit of a shield with regards to those approved contracts. Same with the website that I provided the names for to vote on. That is actually already under contract, and these are my administrative monies. It was roughly 1.5 million I had to get under contract. We're also moving forward with UNLV partnership with telehealth, mental health services with an also a kicker for adding the ACEs screener. And that is tied to AB 330 and AB 285 with regards to restorative practices for students who are identified as being homeless or in foster care with regards to disciplinary measures. They have to have like an educational plan put in place. So that will go through ELCO and is now expanded to Humboldt counties because I was intentional about it being implemented in rural communities and then expanded. And then there's another contract that we have with UNR CSES where they're building a district effectiveness assessment for McKinney-Vento to assess how effective McKinney-Vento programming is from birth all the way to post-secondary transition. So we've moved forward with that work. We've put on our McKinney-Vento Foster Care Summit. All of the things that I'm mentioning, our contracts go all the way through March of 2026. So it's all covered under contract. As far as federal, as far as like the federal mandates, we do know that it does require an act of Congress to fully dismantle the Department of Education. All of our program officers for homeless are actually still, they actually remained after there was a reduction in force with regards to the people who were let go as of last week or pending to be let go. With that being said, I also wanted to add that the most recent concern as of Friday, they were looking at eliminating, I believe, the ICHH at the federal level, and I'm curious to know like how that will impact us at the state level. Not to mention our superintendent of public instruction just was selected to be Clark County School District superintendent. So now we don't have a superintendent of public instruction for the state, or they will be transitioning out fairly soon. And then we just got word that our deputy superintendent for the Office of Student and School Supports announced their retirement. I know you asked the question, but I just wanted to give you all the rundown, but let you know the administrative component of the ARP HCY monies is funding all of the projects moving forward. And then as far as like the McKinney-Vento office, when we find out from the federal level how they're moving forward with Title 7B, that does take congressional a congressional vote to eliminate said title and program. It can't just be like, oh, we're slashing this. There needs more legislation with regards to that. I hope I answered all of your questions, and I do apologize that it, but I just wanted to give you all just like a breakdown of all of the programming at the state level that's happening, and know that a lot of that work is protected because it's actually under contract with someone else, so they cannot cancel it.
Michelle Fuller-Hallauer for the record. Thank you, Dr. Janelle. That's very helpful and very educational. And it's it's relieving to know that we've still got some work that is able to happen in our educational systems in the state of Nevada. So I appreciate that, and please keep us posted as things shift and morph as they seem to be doing on a daily basis. So
Dr. Janelle, for the record, I was very intentional in how I got this done, knowing what was coming up the pike. And thank you for the opportunity and for all of you all's support and allowing me to be part of this wonderful technical assistance group.
Thank you. Okay, any other public comment?
Dr. Janelle, for the record, again, I forgot to add that we are currently getting the notice of funding opportunity. I drafted the new McKinney-Vento 3-year grant, and our grants management unit finally gave us approved dates. So we're just going to now be able to announce that. That's where each and every district, because it's a competitive grant, will be able to apply for, I believe, up to $850, or from a pool of $850,000 in grant funding, now that I believe our continuing resolution was approved. So we'll get like the numbers, and then I will make those adjustments. But the goal was to release it this month, but now it got pushed into April because we were waiting on our federal body to move. So thank you very much. And I am going on mute. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Madam Chairwoman, we did receive a public comment from Katrina Peters.
Is she still on the line, or did she turn that into you, Carlia?
She turned it into me. She's not online anymore.
Would you share that with us, please?
Yes. So number one, she wanted to echo the positive comments made about the strategic plan spreadsheet. The strategic plan is vast and expansive, and this seems like an excellent format to assign some action items and track outcomes. Brooke's ability to take complex information and get onto the actionable format is top-notch. And number two, also kudos on the survey development. It was easy to complete and intuitive, obtaining prioritization while help focus on very broad work outlined in the strategic plan. If a summary of the results was publicly available, or if anyone wanted to present results to our COC, we'd be happy to add that to the next meeting agenda, which may help with the engagement from our Northern COC membership on the Interagency Council's work.
Great. Thank you very much. Good job, everybody. All right. Any other public comment? Anybody on the phone, or any other public comment that has been submitted?
No.
All right. Seeing no other public comment, hearing no other public comment, it is now 2:21, and I am going to call this meeting of the Technical Assistance Subcommittee of the Interagency Council on Homelessness to Housing adjourned. We will see you all, same bat time, same bat channel, next month. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate you, appreciate your engagement. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful